This is 21 Questions. It's a trivia podcast. My name's Mike. I run trivia shows in pubs and clubs, and now I'm in your phone. This is a special episode. It's episode 50, and to celebrate that, I have invited my listeners to submit trivia questions that I will ask throughout this entire episode. It's going to be fun. Let's see what you came up with. Question 1, Gail asks, who holds the Guinness record for the longest career as a live-action Marvel superhero? This one's interesting. It was Hugh Jackman, but Wesley Snipes passed him when he played Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine. He's been playing Blade since 1998. Therefore, he holds the record for the longest career as a live-action Marvel superhero. Great question, Gail. Thank you. We're out of the blocks. We are away. Question 2, Helen asks, what cake is a cross between a donut and a croissant? That's a cronut. And I don't think I've ever had a cronut. Question 3, a couple of family connections in today's show. This question comes from my brother Paul, who plays in a Beatles tribute band called the Beatlegs. Check them out if they're playing at a venue near you. Paul asks, how many of the Beatles were left-handed? Well, famously Paul McCartney was, but did you know Ringo also was? There were 2 left-handed Beatles. Question 4, Tracy Ann asks the question, true or false? Napoleon was born on the Mediterranean island of Corsica on August 15, 1769. Is that true? Is that false? Napoleon, he was in fact born August 15, 1769. That is true, and he was exiled, of course, on St. Helena Island, but not the one off the coast, not too far from where I live in Queensland. Question 5. Joy asks the question, in Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, is her right hand holding her left wrist or is her left hand holding her right wrist? Well, that's a very specific question, Joy. Well done. And I got to say, something I've never considered ever in my life. And I've seen the Mona Lisa in real life. The answer is her right hand is holding her left wrist, or at least it's resting on her left wrist. That's obviously from the Mona Lisa's point of view. Question 6, Adam and Emma sent in, which US city gave rise to grunge music from the mid-80s up to the early 90s? That would be Seattle. Seattle. Question 7, here's an unusual one. Alison sent in, is a gaberlunzie a butcher, a baker, or a beggar? I'd never heard of a gaberlunzie, Alison. Well done you. I now know that a gaberlunzie is or was a medieval Scots term for a licensed beggar or travelling storyteller, and they would have a gaberlunzie token, and a gaberlunzie token was a metal badge that they would carry to demonstrate to the town they were visiting that they were approved and they were allowed to sleep in the town without being arrested. Alison says from her message that she got the word gaberlunzie from the Outlander books. Thanks, Alison. That's a good one. After question 7, we do the first clues for the Who Am I. The Who Am I is also submitted by a listener, and this one came from Rachel, who is a resident of Calgary. Here we go. Who am I? I was formed in 1920, although my origins go back to an earlier force established in the 1870s. I am a national police force, best known for operating across a large North American country. I'm referred to by both initials and by my nickname. Rachel, don't know. Very good. We will do more clues for that after question 14. Question 8. Fleur asks quite a complicated question, but I like it. Come with me on this. If a palindrome is a word that can be read the same way front to back or back to front, like civic or race car or level, all of those words are palindromes, what is a word that spells a different word when reversed? For example, desserts, when spelled backwards, spells stressed. And lived, when spelt backwards, spelt devil. Reward, when spelt backwards, is draw. Do you get the idea? Good. What is that called? That is called am immordnalap. An immordnalap, and if you wrote down immordnalap, you would see that that is the word palindrome reversed. That's very tricky, Fleur. Thank you very much. Question 9. This one's a little bit more accessible. Question 9. Sue asks the question, what is the longest period of time that a chicken has survived after losing its head? Now, I would have thought 60 seconds. I don't know. What is the longest period of time that a chicken has survived after losing its head? And the answer is 18 months. Now, I'll be honest, I've just stopped recording and Googled that, and it's true. He was known as Mike the Headless Chicken. I can't help but feel a little bit attacked there. That's question 9. Thanks, Sue. That's a fascinating question. Question 10, Helen asks, it's a different Helen to the one that asked before about the cronut. Helen asks, does China, Japan, or Indonesia produce the most eggs annually? The most eggs in the world each year are produced by China. 500 to 600 billion eggs annually. That's a lot of eggs. China produces half of the world's supply of eggs. I did not know. Nice one, Helen. Question 11. Glenn from Moray Field. Glenn is a regular contributor to this show. Thank you, Glenn, for your support all the way through. True or false? A cat lover is called a cinephile. That's actually false. A cinephile is someone who loves dogs, and I know that Glenn and his friend Laurel do too. Question 12. Dean from Kalanga. I've mentioned him recently on this podcast. Dean from Kalanga has sent in, what is the Italian word for wasp? And he said, hint, think scooters. When I think scooters, I think annoying kids on footpaths going too fast and trying to knock me over because I'm an old man. But in actual fact, the Italian word for wasp is Vespa. Vespa, which explains that meh noise that they make when they're sneaking up on the roads behind you. Nice one, Dean. Question 13. This question comes from Jake. Now, Jake, as I record this podcast, is 4 meters away from me. He is my 23-year-old son. I think he's 23. I should look into that. Might be 22. I think he's 22. I really should know this. Anyway, Jake's asked the question, which song title is a song for both Billy Joel and the rapper Nas? That would be New York State of Mind. Billy Joel's got, I'm in a New York state of mind. And you'll forgive me if I don't sing you any of the rapper Nas's version of that song because I don't know it. I do beg your pardon. Question 14. Linda asks, where on your body would you find your snuff box? Is your snuff box on your hand or on your face? Do I even have a snuff box? Turns out I do, and so do you. It's on your hand. The snuff box, or anatomical snuff box, is a triangular depression on the radial dorsal aspect of the hand and the wrist, used historically to place snuff before inhalation. So the first person to take snuff, what did they do? Just check the whole body out for a little spot where they could put it, did they? Going, oh, there's a spot on my knee, but I can't get my nose to it. It's a crazy world we live in. Thank you, Linda. That's very interesting. More clues now for the Who Am I. If you remember, Rachel from Calgary sent it through, formed in the 1920s, a national police force. Here's some more clues now. Who am I? I played a major role in helping maintain order during the settlement of Western regions and the construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway. My officers are famous for their distinctive red serge, S-E-R-G-E, I'm imagining that serge uniforms and wide-brimmed hats, although these are mostly ceremonial today. Now, if I'm right, there was one of these police officer-style guys on a single episode of F Troop, the sitcom back in the day. He was a singing version of these. I could be wrong, but I think I know what it is. Back to the general knowledge trivia now. Question 15. Katie and Glennis. 2 different people sent in the same question. This is very interesting to me. Katie and Glennis have both sent, are coprolites A, a mineral found on the walls and ceilings of caves, B, a race of ancient warriors from South America, or C, fossilized dinosaur poo? Coprolites. Yep, it's dinosaur poo. That's C. Coprolites. Katie and Glennis, good on you. How do you know that? I love it. Question 16. Jonathan has sent in the question, France shares its longest border with which country? And he's put in brackets, it's kind of a trick question. It is a trick question because the answer is Brazil. That's right, the border is located between the Brazilian state of, I'm going to say Amapá, A-M-A-P-A, but the A, second A's got a little squiggly thing over it. Amapá, could be Amapá, don't know, and French Guiana. It's 730 kilometres in length. There you go. So France's longest border is not actually attached to the French mainland. Very interesting, tricky stuff, Jonathan. Well done. Question 17. Laurel, who I think I mentioned earlier from Caboolture South, asked the question, what do you call Egyptian paper made from reeds? That's papyrus, and that's a very sensible question, Laurel. There's no dinosaur poo involved. There's no borders from countries that's nowhere near the actual country. Much better. Thank you. Question 18. Shannon sent in, name any of the 3 movie characters to each win 2 separate Oscars for their portrayal. Okay, so here we go. One of the answers is Vito Corleone. Now, Marlon Brando won Best Actor for The Godfather in 1972 playing him. Robert De Niro won Best Supporting Actor for The Godfather Part 2 in 1974, also for playing him. So that's one. The second one is the Joker, or Joker from Batman. Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor for The Dark Knight in 2008. And Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor for Joker in 2019. And there's a third one. Anita from West Side Story has achieved 2 supporting actress wins. Let me see, Rita Moreno in 1961 and Ariana DeBose in 2021. My apologies, Ariana, if you're listening, for the mispronunciation of your name. Right then. Now, question 19 on this podcast is always an alive or not so much. That's where I give you a name and you tell me if you think that person is alive or not so much. Janice sent me an alive or not so much, and I love that she did. I suspect she may have worked out that no one else would send me one, and if that was her thinking, she was right. This is the only suggestion I got for alive or not so much, and it's an unusual one. I love it. Janice sends alive or not so much, Bubbles, as in Michael Jackson's chimpanzee. Is Bubbles still alive or not so much? I got to tell you, Bubbles is still alive. He lives at the Center for Great Apes, which is a sanctuary in Florida, where he's lived since 2005. He's now 43 or 44 years old, and if you visit him, you'll spot him because he's the only chimp wearing one glove and a fedora. Delightful. Question 20, a music question. Jason asks, what was the original name of the band Chicago? Chicago, they had hits with Saturday in the Park and Hold Me Now. It's hard for me to say I'm sorry. Anyway, what was the original name of the band? Chicago. They were the Chicago Transit Authority. All right. I can't imagine why they chose to shorten that back down just to Chicago. Nice one. Final clues now for the Who Am I. It's the Canadian Police Force, the red uniforms. I think I know it. Oh, Rachel sent me. This is so funny. Rachel, in her email to me, she did mention that I mispronounce things sometimes and had a little shot at me for that, and fair enough too, because I do sometimes get it wrong. But then she's gone and baited me by putting something in basically French here, which I'm absolutely going to get wrong. But anyway, we'll have a crack at it. Here we go. Who am I? My official motto is Maintiens le droit, which translates from French as uphold the right. There you go. I'm properly known as the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, but most people refer to me as the Mounties. And on F-Troop, they had the singing Mountie, if you remember that episode, if you're of a certain age. There are young people listening to this podcast right now going, what on earth is F-Troop? And fair enough too. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a question for this ep. If yours didn't make it in, if I didn't read out yours just now, that doesn't mean I won't. It just means that I got way too many questions than I could possibly use for this particular ep. It was much more popular than I imagined it might be, but I've saved them all and they will all get a run in future episodes. For now though, we shall press on with this week's player question. Sue from Birkdale, if you remember, Sue provided the headless chicken question earlier. This one's a bit more sensible. Last episode she asked, what nationality was Sir Edmund Hillary the first person to summit Mount Everest? Sir Edmund was a New Zealander. Thank you, Sue. This episode, Tracy Ann asked the question, what is Tiger Woods' real first name? Oh, is it Ernie? Edna? Elmo? Something like that. I'll Google it and tell everybody next week. Good question, Tracy Ann. Thank you very much. Okay, beautiful people. Thank you so much for your support. This podcast is now 50 episodes old. I'll be continuing with this. There'll be a day coming when I'll get to 500 and still continuing on after that. This is fun to bring you. I love that you're enjoying it. Thank you so much for listening. This podcast comes out every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Come back and meet me in a couple of days. We'll do it all again. My name's Mike van Acker. I love you. Catch you next time.